75 degrees and sunny in San Francisco, always. And there's always fresh juice, anytime you come and visit us here. So what did you all think of this morning? Pretty cool, right? I'm so excited right now to introduce our next guest, who is really taking what you saw this morning in terms of demos and how AI and people are working together on the canvas, and really putting into practice with real clients, real stakes, real work. Endava is a technology and consulting services company that has essentially built a system called Dava.Flow, which uses Miro as its shared context engine across the lifecycle. So they can go from discovery to delivery. But what makes this story really, really cool is that it isn't just about what they built. It's about how they actually move their company every step along the journey of AI transformation. Please welcome to the stage Endava's regional CTO for Europe and global head of Dava.X AI, Joe Dunleavy.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much to Miro for the opportunity to speak to you all today. It's a pleasure to be here. I am not from California, if my accent isn't a giveaway. I am from Ireland, representing Endava. So thanks very much again for the intro. I'm going to touch a little bit about our journey towards becoming more of an AI company, right through to the building of an AI native delivery methodology, what that means and how it incorporates. And I'll obviously talk a lot about the Miro relationship and all of that as well. So thank you again for your time. And a couple of things I'm going to cover off on. You may not have heard of Endava, so who we are. I'm going to cover that very briefly, an introduction. Our approach towards our transformation, very much an AI transformation, and what we call a Keystone program. I'll spend more of the time speaking about the methodology, which is Dava.Flow, and what does that look like, the tech stack integration with Miro, and change management and why that's important as part of all of this, and then I will wrap up. So just before I get into the introduction, I want to talk about Dava.Flow is a real thing out in the market, delivering real value. There's obviously a lot of talk and different things, and at different stages people talk about things but are maybe further away. Dava.Flow is here today, and we're winning work using it. We're a publicly traded company, so I'm sensitive to what I can speak about, but some of the things that we've done in the last 2 weeks, we've announced some work. One large project with MasterCard as an example, where we very much used Flow as part of what we're trying to build there. So what I'm presenting and what I'm going to talk about is here. We're on a journey. It's not perfect. We are continuing to advance in that journey, but I'm not talking about stuff that's kind of far off. But who are we, and a little bit about Endava as a company. We are a London headquartered company, but we are listed in the New York Stock Exchange. We have 11,500 people across the globe. We have around 60 delivery centers. We're a close to client company. What that means is we have American customers. We are delivering to them in LATAM. In Europe, we deliver using European folks, and Davins as we call them, and in APAC the same. But it's a technology and people play. That has always been a strong part of what Endava does, and I'll talk a little bit about that theme throughout the conversation. So technology, very led around things like trust and value systems, but it's technology alongside people, and none of that has changed in this new AI era, which I'm glad to say. I've covered that already. The dots represent where we are around the globe, so we're fairly diverse, fairly broad customer base. I'm based out of Ireland. I don't even know if Ireland's, I think the orange is actually for the UK. There you go. We didn't even make it, so what can you do? We are agnostic of the tooling and the providers. So we work with Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. We work with OpenAI. We work with, obviously, the likes of Miro. But we are also agnostic of the industry. So it's very broad who we service. So the lens I'm going to provide on it is technology in financial services, payments, insurance, travel industry, etc. So we try to be a very broad spectrum. We listed a few years ago on the New York Stock Exchange. We're publicly listed, so you can see. Our share price was $178 5 years ago. It's roughly about $4 today. That tells you the impact of what we're going through and that moment of inflection for where we are as a company. Technology services companies build code. AI is now building code, and that is the impact you see on companies like us and others of our competitors. It's not unique to us, but we had an inflection moment whereby we had to go on what we were looking to do next. So that's who we are and what we do. But before I get into it, we had an ambition. So I am trying to squeeze in 3 years worth of work into about 20 minutes. We had an ambition 3 years ago to become more AI native. AI native to us meant a simple thing. How do we make all of our people more productive using AI? So not in place of, alongside. So that technology and people as part of our mantra from the start still holds true. But becoming AI native was an ambition from the top of the organization to roll out ChatGPT Enterprise to the org and see how we did. Now, we did it in a methodical way. We started with a pilot group. We had 150. We grew. We built champions networks. We targeted the legal team. We targeted the marketing team. We tried to make AI across the board, including the software engineering group. But what we realized relatively quickly was a tool and an idea of becoming AI native, it doesn't have the impact you'd like across the broader organization. So this is where Keystone kicked in. Keystone was where we put a program across the entire transformation. It's not just a case of rolling out AI to transform your business. It's very much you have to do it across the entire org using an approach. And the Keystone program was actually something that when we designed that, the first place we went to go and design that was actually to Miro's offices in Amsterdam. And they were very gracious to actually host us as we put meat on the bones of that program and have Miro provide their insight. Because if you haven't been paying attention, and we've just seen it today, Miro has been one of the most advanced companies we have seen in how they've taken AI and bolted it into the product. Not in place of, but how it augments the product. So we've been a Miro customer for a long time. We were really impressed with how they were adopting AI, and we thought together there was a real opportunity to try and do something. So when we built Keystone, well, a lot of the input came from some of the Miro team in the room. Endava 2.0 was the initiative. It was very much how does a technology services company. 3 years ago, we saw ChatGPT come out, and we saw human legible text. But we realized, our group, the AI pod inside Endava, said, how long can it be before it creates code? That was an inflection point for us. That was really why we needed to go after this being more an AI native company. So the Keystone program was the Endava 2.0 vision. I touched upon it already. It's not just about rolling out tooling. It has to be done in a managed, programmatic way. These were the 6 discipline areas that we looked at. We're still on this program journey, by the way, with Keystone. It's not done. I think the speed at which technology is moving means that it's very hard to know you're done, but we are on this initiative still. I won't go through all of them, but the first one was around what's that North Star for our AI vision. Themes 2 and 3 I'll dig into in a bit more detail because this is what effectively created Flow. How does AI help with acceleration for design and delivery? And also engineering. So what does AI or agentic AI coding look like? 4 I'll finish on is around people and talent transformation. Technology is ready, AI is phenomenal, but people need to go on that journey. It's a change management program and an initiative from top of the organization to the bottom. So we recognize that and we work on that from a skilling and all the other things that go with it. 5th one, commercial strategy. This changes everything. We sold and still do sell agile teams using software engineering delivered using agile teams, which is time and materials. This shift, and we talked about it yesterday in the partner day, is a lot more towards if AI can massively compress the ability to deliver business value, how do you charge for something like that? So it's much more of a shift to like outcome and fixed-based pricing. And then the last one was, we wanted to be the best version of ourselves. How could we help customers around the globe adopt AI and transform using AI if we haven't done it to ourselves? So the 6th one is about that. This represents waterfall into agile into flow. So I'm going to talk a good bit more about flow now and get into a little bit more of the detail. But waterfall methodology has been the way that things were delivered for a long time, and then you saw a big shift towards agile and scrum teams. What Endava did and still does, but as that trails off and as flow kicks in over the next couple of years, we did agile at scale on an enterprise scale. So we would have the Endava adaptive model, which was our own agile methodology, and how we delivered for clients around the world was using agile scrum teams. What the orange is flow, and basically as the blue line, which is the people humans, people doing all of the work, tails off, and as the orange line or the line below comes up, which is how agentic AI has risen, we see that inflection point. So Dava.Flow was basically our methodology creation for how we're going to deliver using agentic AI and people for our clients going forward. So we talk about it as a post-agile era. Doesn't mean that agile is dead, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, but it definitely means that agile looks different when you have people overseeing swarms of agents to deliver on the work. So that's been a little bit of the journey. I won't go into too much detail, but a couple of stats here just to call out. As a result of rolling out AI across our org, over 70% of our people use ChatGPT Enterprise as one example every day. 7,000 Miro end users today, and 3,000 of them are using it daily to include the AI functionality, which I'll showcase in a little demo video as well. But the question is agents able to build code, and is vibe coding a thing, and can you get the output? You can, but that's not the same thing as doing it for an enterprise, and that's really what Flow is about. The speed is not the key here. It's doing it in a controlled, measurable, repeatable manner that you can do it at an enterprise version, because that is where we really believe where things go next, and it's how we see us delivering for our clients in the future. So, Flow. I've mentioned it already. We had this kind of run through from rolling out AI, putting a program in place to actually roll out across the org. We're still on that journey, and then the methodology itself is effectively Flow. One thing I wanted to touch upon, though, is this absolute obsession with efficiency gains, this dynamic of value capture and value creation. I'm in California, so give Jeremy a shout out from Stanford D School. He talks a lot about the difference between value creation and value capture. The world at the moment is obsessed with value capture, which is how do we squeeze out 10, 15, 20% more using AI to automate. And that's one side of the conversation, but it really loses the fact that there's a whole other side of AI, which is the value creation side of AI. Clearly, Miro is really strong in the whole collaboration and creation of new things, and value creation is what we feel is where the opportunity. We're publicly listed. There's analysts in the room. We'd have analysts ask us when to say AI is going to democratize what you all do, and it's going to be a reduced total addressable market. That's fair if you believe that there's nothing else going to be created off the back of AI. Where value creation kicks in, if you are going in front of C-suites, they have maybe 5, 6 things they'd like to do, but maybe only the money and the capacity to do 3 or 4 of them. What we built Flow for, and where we think the opportunity is on the value creation side, is if you can massively compress the time it takes to deliver that business value, what other priority items could you do? What are the 4th, 5th, and 6th things that you do? What are things, other markets you'd enter in? That's the play here that AI can deliver, especially done when at scale. That's the value prop that can be done. So that value creation is really the reason why we feel the addressable market's larger, and it's also why we created Flow, because what we've built allows us to deliver on that promise to our clients. So Jeremy Oatley talks a lot about this. It's really interesting guy if you want to check in. So what is Flow? I'll skip this one. Couple of things about what it is and what it is not. So it has been built for a post-agile era. I spoke about that already. Agile is not finished, but how you do agile with teams of people interacting is vastly different when it's teams of people overseeing agents. It's AI-enhanced phases. There's 4 phases: signal, explore, govern, and evolve, and I'll talk about them in a second. So it's a 4-stage process. It's about capturing value at every stage. So piece of information you gather feeds the next. You can iterate back through the cycle if you need to, but it's very much, it's not a waterfall of one to the next to the other, and it's been built in a way that's tool agnostic from an architecture perspective, very similar to the approach that Miro is take. It's not tied into any one particular technology or any one particular LLM. That's really important because we don't develop LLMs. We're not in that business of creating them. So what we've tried to build is a methodology that allows the flexibility to be there for the client and what we need to do to support them in their journey. So locking into any one particular provider or cloud provider is not what we have built with Flow. So we work with Google's, the Microsofts, the Claudes of this world. Which model the client picks is up to them. Every phase builds value and confidence. This is the stuff you've seen today already, and if you're Miro users, you will see. We use a lot of Miro in the signal and explore phase of Flow. What this is about is getting more context, proving out more value, and understanding the challenge that you're trying to solve, and iterating on it to get the quality. The whole idea here is that vibe coding is not what you do at an enterprise. When you use agents to build code, you very much have to do it in a way that context is king. Markdown language, structured information, the more context you can put, guardrails, policy as code, and other things, the better the value of the output. So every phase in the stage is about getting that value and confidence built up, and it's still human in the loop. This is not AI in place of people. Where we see our people supporting clients is overseeing the output of swarms of agents doing the actual work. The days of us coding every line is not fully behind us, but the more we use Flow and the more we are working with clients, the less we are doing in terms of building code ourselves. We're very much having human oversight of the work that's actually done. So we think this human and AI together is a superpower. It's back to the technology and people thing that I started the conversation with. I don't have a lot of time today. There's other bits and pieces that I can go into to do around Flow, but we're time pinched. So what I'm going to try to do is provide a little bit more context to you on it. It's 4 phases, I've mentioned already. Signal is about capturing and qualifying the right problem. The biggest single challenge we see with clients when you're working with them is they solving the wrong problem or chasing the AI thing. A CEO wants to do AI, the perception is we're being left behind, we need to jump on this thing. Versus, what problem are you trying to solve? Why are you doing it? Is there others doing it in the market? Is there a competitive analysis that you can perform? Signal is about every piece of information that we can capture about a problem you're trying to solve or getting you towards that is steeped in what we're trying to do in this stage. Capture and qualify that the problem that they're solving is the right one, because if you don't know why you're doing it, it's going to be very hard to measure the impact. Signal in Miro is incredible. We use sidekicks. We have a little video that will bring this to life as well, but it's a really, really important part. Let's not go and brilliantly solve the wrong problem. That's really what Signal is about. Explore is then taking the context. So do we know what we're doing and why we're doing it? We do. We feed that into the explore phase. The explore phase is where you shape the structure and the context. This is the part that is the difference between vibe coding and proper enterprise scale. You take all the context that you can get. You take it from your Miro boards. Actually, in our case, we keep it on the Miro board, but you get all the information that's available. We use the AI functionality inside of Miro to do rapid prototyping and seek feedback from people. This is all about context, 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 because by the time you get to the govern phase where agents are delivering the code, you want to have all the information that's feasible guided towards the agents to get the better outcome. That is really the value of something like Flow and how you put the context to it. So in the explore phase, it's building up the context. To give you an idea what this looks like in reality, this is 6, 7-page prompts. This is not a single paragraph prompt. This could be 40 pages of markdown to feed the context. In this stage, we enforce what is needed for what quality looks like. The policy that needs to be applied is applied as policy as code. If you're meeting the EU AI Act, we take the requirements of the EU AI Act. That's part of the context. If there's a coding standard you need to meet, that's part of the context. The information we gathered in Signal on our Miro board that informs a conversation with a client where they drop a couple of really interesting context, all of that feeds into Explore. So by the time that we're doing Govern and the AI agents are doing their thing, they're not doing it on a broad spectrum. It's very managed, very controlled in an environment, and that is where you get the quality of the output. So in the Govern phase, we are overseeing the agents delivering the code. Whether it's Codex, whether it's GitHub Copilot, whether it's Cursor, it's agnostic. But by the stage we're getting to Govern, this is where, now it iterates. I'm not saying it's perfect the first time and every time. But by the time you get to Govern, you're much closer to what you need to deliver. And then in the Evolve stage, by the way, these are all cyclical, right? So if you don't have enough information in Explore, you don't start Govern. Or if you do Govern and it doesn't work for you, you can roll back to the Explore phase. Every stage is to inform the next. By the time you get to Evolve, you're putting into a production environment and you are looking at telemetry and guidance around how is it performing. Does 90% of the people get all the way through to a transaction but don't complete it? Why is that the case? Do you have a performance challenge? That then feeds the signal right back up to the stage, and that's how you iterate towards the quality and building it. So that's in effect what Flow is. It's a methodology, an approach for people alongside AI, but to do it in a way that's for enterprise scale. As I said, we have it out there. We're talking about it openly, publicly. We've talked about it alongside Miro. I'll bring to life here how the signal and explore phase looks like, particularly with Miro. But the other thing is it's really sweet. Like on the explore phase, we have MCP integration from the Miro board where we can feed that context directly into the agent system that's actually delivering on the code. But it's seamless and it works really, really well. And that's thanks to the insight we've given to Miro, some of the things they've tweaked on alongside us. And then in the case of on the Miro boards, we would have our own sidekicks that are custom to what we do from a flow perspective, but built alongside the team from Miro. So it's been a really cool thing to go through. The tech insight with Miro, I can't come all this way and not obviously talk about what we do with Flow. Again, it is agnostic of tooling. If a client doesn't want to use Miro, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't, we do have to be relatively flexible. But we have a gold standard of how we do Flow and the tooling that is alongside it. So for us, where the opportunity is, doing Flow with Miro makes a ton of sense. I'm going to play 2 little videos for you because I'm talking quite a bit here to bring this to life. The first video is how we use Miro. Flow is an enormous effort, an enormous undertaking. It's an entire methodology from scratch across the broad organization. How do you bring people up to speed on that? You can produce large documents and SharePoint sites and other things, but nobody really wants to read information at scale. So we use Miro. Firstly, the entire criteria, the roadmap, all of what makes up Flow, as we're now rolling it out to the broader org, sits inside Miro. So we use Miro boards to gather all the information, present it in a nice visual way, and for people to use. And then the second video is where we actually use Miro in the signal and explore phase, and that'll bring it to life. So this is the board. This is the parent landing board for Flow. So what you'll see here is we have decided that rather than just give people lots of documentation, we present it in a very visual manner. So for each of the links on here, this is a flow that people can get all of the information. So this is the first landing page. If you're learning Flow, here's what you see. So it represents the 4 phases. There's an introduction section. If you don't know how to use Miro, there's a little bit of a guide there. And the team from Miro helped us build this. What is Dava.Flow itself? This is all slide integration directly into Miro so that you're able to actually click on it and present it as a presentation. The core concepts of what makes up, the detail I'm not giving today, but that's some of the core concepts around it. What is the context warehouse? The context warehouse is a central location. We store all of the information working with clients. The turbine CLI, which is a component of what we do. The 5th thing is what does AI, human and AI collaboration look like? And then the steering team, which is myself and some of the core team, and how you kind of get in contact with us. Nicely as well, we've embedded a little QR code in the bottom right corner so that people can click on it and provide feedback. So we present the information there. This is what it looks like when we actually do the signal phase and explore phase through Miro. We've integrated directly in the sidekicks. So in this case, we've got the Miro and MCP integration. All of what you're seeing there is context that's been captured using conversations with clients. It's using this production of sidekicks and what's the material that comes out of it. And all of this is, in this case, you'll see where Miro AI is listed. It's just showing where we are leveraging the Miro functionality to help in terms of the entire processing. The flow here is quite quick, but we're basically showing the layer cake as we build up more and more context and how that is all provided within the Miro environment. The location for everyone to collaborate on, collaborate with your customers, get your context and feed into the next thing. And it's really about how do we make it through the entire process to feed the explore phase. This is signal view of the world, and the explore phase is where we put meat on the bones, and we might be using things like the AI functionality to build clickable prototypes, seek the feedback, and keep repeating on the process. So in short, Miro has become a really, really important part of what we're doing with Flow, and the partnership has been really strong. Last couple of slides from me. It's really, really, really important that you call out. The technology in AI is ready. It's class. It's the worst it's going to be today, though. It's going to improve. The challenge with doing a transformation, the challenge with doing something like Flow is this is a mindset shift for people. There is a huge, huge challenge in bringing people through this journey, 11,500 people. A fixed mindset is going to be hard to get to go where you need to go to. This is the era of growth mindset. So Carl Dweck, again, Stanford, talks a lot about fixed mindset, growth mindset. If ever there was a time for the human race to embrace a growth mindset, it's right now, because AI is incredible at what it can do, but the people need to do it alongside it. It is that combination, that superpower is people and AI. But in order to do this, you have to go after it with a bit of a growth mindset. So how do we do that? We train people in mindset, we train people in upskilling, and we bring people through on that journey. So we kind of layer cake it. It's a bit of a layer cake. So we start on the apprentice stage, which is about bringing them through the journey, what flow is, what does it mean for them. You have to anchor something on what it means for people, because they need to, what's the value for them, how do they go on that journey. But we also train people on the mindset as part of the training. Practitioner level is where you're then using it with clients. What are you learning from a Lighthouse Projects perspective and how you're building upon it, to get to the mentor stage, whereby we have teams of people being overseen by mentors and how they deliver. So in short, it's about process. It's about doing it in a methodical way, but it's a really, really big opportunity to take. What we've been on is a long journey for the last couple of years. I'm trying to squeeze it in. I got 16 seconds, so I'm just about bang on time. It's very, very hard to do this, but it's worth doing. Nothing in life that's ever worth doing is easy. So we've been doing our journey. It's very much in partnerships with others. You don't have to do this thing alone. So lean in where you've got strong partners. Again, a big shout out to Miro, and thanks very much for the opportunity. I'll finish as an Irishman. Slán go fóill is Irish. It's Gaelic for bye for now. Within it means that it's bye until I see you again. So I hope to be able to come back in a year's time and talk about the journey that we've been on. I hope this is useful. Please come find me, and thanks very much again for the opportunity.